All right, and welcome to Government Week. Today we're going to be interviewing with the city manager and the assistant city manager. Lake Worth Beach has Michael Bornstein as our city manager, and Juan Ruiz is our assistant city manager. So good afternoon, guys.
Hey, Ben.
Hey.
All right, so we're going to start with the easy question. Well, I find it easy. What is the actual role of the city manager and the assistant city manager?
Thank you, Ben. First, you have to understand that the city is basically a corporation that's owned and created by the people that live in the city. And we're created through Florida statutes by the state, and we're given certain authorities and powers to provide local jurisdictional control and provision of services. Each person who lives in the city has one vote and one share. So basically, we're kind of a public corporation. And as such, the residents, they elect the policy board, which is your mayor and the commissioners. And then they hire me as the city manager to run the operation and to make sure all the services and the programs and the things that they direct as policy are done. Everyone in the organization then works for me as the CEO of the corporation. And we're here to serve the public, and that operation between the elected officials setting the policy and the city manager and the administration and organization carrying out is a relationship that works really well. And that basically is the nuts and bolts of a city. And I serve as the CEO. Juan, as the assistant city manager, assists me in carrying out those duties because we have a lot of responsibilities across a lot of different departments and things that we do, and we have a full plate. So we work together and take different parts of the organization and then coordinate back.
All right, fantastic. And you, like every other member of staff, essentially serve two roles. We've got our day-to-day role, and then during an emergency, our role kind of changes. Like for example, during a hurricane, you switch hats a little bit. So during an emergency, what is each of your roles?
You want to go first, Mike?
No, you actually, I'll let you go first.
All right, well, yeah, thanks, Ben. Yes, indeed, by title, assistant city manager, but also, obviously I play the role of the city's emergency management coordinator as well. And really what happens when when an emergency triggers an activation of the EOC, or maybe it's an emergency that doesn't trigger an activation of the EOC, because again, emergencies come in a lot of different shapes and forms and types. My role basically becomes kind of like head logistics, head coordinator, where it's my role, my responsibility to ensure that the different areas of our emergency response and those that have responsibilities within those areas, fulfill their task per se. And more importantly, though, whether it's an emergency or not, the relationship that Mike and I have as an assistant city manager and assistant city manager is that we're constantly communicating. So, and I think that's key because it makes for a seamless and efficient, process. So we've been fortunate not to have a type of an emergency that would require kind of a 24-hour cycle, where there's a, shift A, shift B, and there's kind of a handing over of the guard. But we, as we practice and we tabletop exercise a lot of those kind of scenarios in the event, that we experience an emergency that may trigger that. But, all in all, our emergency response mirrors very much what we do day to day. Michael's been great that, yes, he's the interface with the commission, but on a day-to-day basis for organization, we really approach it as a team. And, we kind of delve into things together. And obviously he has his areas of focus like I do as far as departments go, but it translates over into emergency. We don't kind of look at it like, okay, I'm in charge now, go play that role. That's definitely not the approach that we've taken. So, it's a lot in the same.
Okay, and Mike, do you find it challenging being the bridge between the elected officials and the professional staff? I mean, it's one thing you always tell us is that you're the block for us to keep us from them. So do you find that role challenging?
No, really don't find it challenging. There are sometimes challenging situations that occur, but as long as the elected officials and the staff, we all know our roles in this operation, things really go really well and have for the period of time that I've experienced working here in the city. We have had some situations where there's been some questioning about those roles, but we work those out as with any organization. I do really enjoy being the interface with the commission and working with the individuals. Elected officials, right now, to be in government is kind of a tough thing, but I can tell you the elected officials that I've worked with here in the city genuinely have a passion and a love for the people and this place we call the city of Lake Worth Beach. And building on that, you can't go wrong. That they go above and beyond to work with me to come up with ideas and suggestions and to iron out policy issues that I can then translate into the organization and make it have action and create the things that they're wanting us to do, setting those priorities, those goals. So no, I've had a great time working with all my elected officials. And I also get the pleasure of also being sort of the point person as well for the community, the neighborhood associations, people in the community that have an issue or concern or want to be involved and help. Being that lead person for the organization is indeed a pleasure and an honor. And I motivates me every day. I appreciate it.
Now, one of the interesting things we're finding in these interviews is obviously a lot of our jobs aren't jobs that you learn about in school and then you go to college for city manager studies. So I'm a little bit interested. What was your career path to get to your position, both of you?
Well, that was a good segue because I definitely was not on a collegiate path toward city managers or government municipal stardom for sure. Being an athlete at an early age, going through college and being a collegiate athlete, and I was a football player attending Wartburg College in Waverly, Iowa. My goal and my kind of like my career path was actually to become a strength and conditioning coach for an NFL team one day. And being a competitive weightlifter, a football player, I was kind of in that whole fitness, recreation. I had a minor in recreation management, but definitely was more with eyes set on more of a professional arena, stadium kind of role. And, during my college days, I actually, for my work study job, I was the strength and conditioning coach for all the women athletic teams. And that's kind of where I started kind of trying to align myself, down that career path. I accidentally landed in municipal government, honestly. After graduating my undergrad, I was kind of trying to figure out where to go to grad school to attain my master's degree in exercise science, which was kind of a vehicle to get into that world of strength and conditioning at the professional level, right? So I just in between there, I saw a job advertised for the city of Green Acres for a recreation supervisor and looked at the job posting and just applied kind of with no expectations. And I got an interview and went through that process and got offered the position and entered into the world of municipal government in 1999 and spent 7 years working with Green Acres and, established a lot of great relationships, learned a lot, learned that I had a passion, which wasn't surprising because of coaching. You have a passion for helping and, coaching people and doing what we do as public servants and serving the public and our residents. They're like our teammates as well, and our employees. So, I've kind of just been in that career path, but definitely was not something that I was thinking about, during my time in college. It just kind of happened. And, and here we are 21 years later, I'm still going strong. And it's something that I take a great pleasure and an honor in being able to do it. and being able to provide, that level of service that our residents deserve. And also, be able to have the opportunity and the blessing to work with such an amazing organization and amazing people that make up Lake Worth Beach. It's not just the residents, but also we have amazing people in the organization. So a lot of that's it kind of like ties in with, being a member of a team and coaching people and whatnot. So that's really my story, how I got into this world of municipal government.
And Mike, how about yourself?
Well, it's kind of the same story for me. In college, if you had asked me what a city manager was, I probably couldn't have told you at the time. Originally went to school and started at Stetson University to become a lawyer. And through some financial difficulties and transferring and moving to community colleges, I ended up at FSU. And during my time there, I got very active in student government, had a business, became student body president. And I think towards the end of my career there, around that period of time, I went to work for the FSU Credit Union and got some banking experience on top of it. So it was a smattering, gave up my dreams of being a lawyer and ended up moving down from there to West Palm area and started working in more of the political field, congressional race, went to work for the county commission, got involved with another business, was hoping to be a millionaire, and got to meet a lot of people in all those roles. When you take those more high level, you meet a lot of people, you get a lot of conversations, and you develop a reputation. And after becoming a single father, my daughter was 7, I took possession of her to raise her. I ended up going to work in Lantana. The city manager there hired me because of some of my government experience, but I think more because of my entrepreneurial spirit. And went to work there. And then the next thing I know, they ended up firing him and giving me the job temporarily. And I was very honored and kind of taken aback that there was that much trust. But I ended up getting the job full time and staying in Lantana for over 12 years. So I became a city manager by having to be at the right place at the right time. And like I said before, basically running a city organization, it's a public corporation. So while you're not private sector, you do use a lot of private sector business oriented skill sets in order to be efficient and effective, and try to avoid bureaucracy and the things that people don't like about government. And I really find that fascinating, approaching the governmental scene with an entrepreneurial spirit of, well, why not? And how can we? And so when I got the job here in Lake Worth Beach, if you remember those times, it was a very dysfunctional organization. And it was because of a lot of reasons, the politics and the turnover. And so I just got into this job by bringing that sense of stability, bringing people together, and working to fill a set of goals and move the ball down the field. And having one is, the coach mentality. He's very good at that. He's very much, get things done. And me, I like to be the 20 to 30,000 foot level. Here's where the commission and the community wants to go. How can we get there? And leading people and getting the right people in the positions is something I really have tried to do, and I think we've done well. So becoming a city manager wasn't something I sought out, but being a city manager, I realized that what it takes to do this job and to do it well were a lot of the things that I experienced, the school of hard knocks. By going through life. It wasn't something that I took a course on and said, hey, this is my career path. It's more or less my personality, characteristics, and skill sets just magically seem to combine with the job that's ideal in many ways for me. And I am so grateful for that happening in my life and to get the ability, as Juan says, to do a job where I get to work with people and to bring people together and to accomplish really good things. I tell people being a city manager can be a noble career because it's about changing people's lives for the better, both the people you serve in the community, but also the people in the organization, helping people learn, grow, advance their careers, and to do things the right way, to have good ethics and good work ethics and skills. That's something that motivates me every day, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, I meet a lot of people when I go to the Florida City County Managers Association meetings or the international, and they're very smart. They've had multiple degrees. They trained. They got their masters in public administration, and I think that's important. My personality, though, I'm kind of more of the, like I said, the entrepreneurial spirit. So I don't fit the mold. So for people out there that are looking for this career, you don't have to necessarily have all that. You just really have to have that drive and skill sets to bring people together.
That's fantastic. And so Lake Worth Beach is a very interesting place to work. Every day is a bit different, and we get an awful lot of experience. What would you say is your favorite part of working for this city?
Wow.
You want to go first, Mike?
Yeah, the favorite part. Well, I have several favorite parts. I can't just have one. I really enjoy seeing staff members and people, even Juan, he was a department director when I got here, helping people grow, giving staff folks who have that skill set and they want to move up or they want to do something more with their life professionally, giving them that sort of safe environment to do that in, to let them know that, I value, not that you have a perfect 100% batting, 1,000 batting average, but that you're willing to take the risk and the chance to do things. And I try to create that safe space for people to make mistakes and not ruin their career. That's kind of one of my roles as the person who works directly for the commission, is to create that context for my staff to grow and learn. And even if they go somewhere else, I'll be the first person to take a staff member who's really going somewhere and is a great person and write them a recommendation letter, and they go off to another city. I'm just as proud. I'd rather have somebody here for 2 or 3 years that's on fire and doing great things than someone who thinks, well, I'm going to work here 20 years and just sort of hide in the background. So I take a great joy in growing staff. The other thing I think I could say, if it's my favorite, is seeing the actual physical outcomes of an idea that is generated by the commission, policy discussions and working with staff, and having it go through all the various steps and the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations to make it a reality. And it becomes a 3-dimensional thing that people value and use. It's a magical thing of creation to see that happen, to go from concept and then to give birth to this thing that happens. That it could be an infrastructure project. Most recently, we're working on fixing and investing in significantly the electric utility infrastructure that's been neglected for 40 years. I've heard people talk about these things, but nobody was able to fix it or build it. And I just take a tremendous amount of satisfaction of seeing that process and being a part of a team that brings that to reality. So I had said that those are probably my 2 favorite things.
Yeah, for sure. And in the same light, Ben, it's a lot. It's the same for me as Michael is, for me, it boils down to the people, and not just the people as far as our staff, but the residents. And, being an alum of Lake Worth High School, class of 95, go Trojans. There's a part of me that has a personal competitive drive to do everything we can as an organization to create the best, live, work, play, oceanside community in Palm Beach County that we can. And with the ultimate goal of, obviously, wanting to leave it in a better condition than when we found it, in a way. But being able to see, and like Mike said, go through these processes that end up having a project come to fruition, or whether it's winning a grant, redoing a park, or, our $40 million neighborhood road improvement program. That's, a lot of the dirt roads that we've paved over, sidewalks that we've added, those things were missing when I was in high school, hanging out, down on the south end of Wingfield, with teammates from football or whatever sport it might have been, or you're just from school, seeing the improvements in the city and seeing our organization do everything we can to pull the city along to create a better life for the folks that choose Lake Worth Beach as a place to, raise a family or to retire, or maybe it's their first home, or maybe it's, it's a stop in their life journey, and to choose us, as a place to experience life is something that, is what I enjoy. And at the end of the day, it's the people, it's the people that make Lake Worth Beach what it is, not just the organization, but the community. And I think, Mike, you wrote that poem or, story about, Lake Worth Beach, and it's in its people, that whole contest thing that we wanted escapes my mind. I think it was last year.
Most people live in a city, but Lake Worth Beach lives in its people.
Yeah.
So that was the point.
Yeah. I think that summarizes, without putting words in Mike's mouth, both of us, of what is our favorite part about Lake Worth Beach. It's the people.
Certainly got a lot of interesting people, that's for sure.
And that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us continue to want to come back every day. It is that uniqueness. It is that eclectic mix of so many different views and backgrounds and life experiences that you don't get that exposure everywhere, and we embrace it. We embrace it here,
Absolutely. I, by my contract, I'm required to live in the city, and that too is a blessing because I live with the results of what we do every day, and I get to see the people that we're talking about, the folks in this city, and they come in all shapes and sizes and beliefs and backgrounds, and that diversity is an amazing driver in identifying who we are, who our DNA is as a city. And it's an amazing place, and it is the people.
So, bit of a cliche question, but all of us, we see each other in work and everything. We talk to death about all these Lake Worth projects, but what I'd like to know is a little bit about what it is that you guys do out of work that you enjoy.
Or we're going to both say boating and fishing is one of the top ones. One.
Is that really the question? Go ahead, Mike.
Well, obviously we'll put up there. I'll speak for myself. Boating, pleasure craft, fishing, being out on the ocean, the whole pirate kind of thing is definitely part of my DNA. And thank God my wife gets that. We also, she and I ride motorcycles. We like to tour around and take time and do that. That's a lot of fun. Like to write music. I play the guitar. I'm a songwriter, not a musician, but I enjoy that as an outlet. Those are probably at the top of my list of things to do, and enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, and for me, Ben, anyone who knows me, it doesn't come as a surprise, is obviously boating, fishing, being, growing up in competitive sports since the age of 5. I've continued that, and I compete, in a lot of, for a long time, I spent 20 years traveling the country competing as a professional bass fisherman.
Nationally ranked. Don't be.
But, I that was a childhood dream, growing up and whatnot. But since then, the last, 3 years, I've transitioned into competitive self-fishing. And, but more importantly, I enjoy more than that is spending time with my 2 daughters on the water. and sharing my passion of being on the water and competitive fishing. Both of my daughters, are 12 and 9 now, and watching them grow up and have an appreciation for the outdoors and the environment, and being able to spend time out on the water and being with them is my favorite thing to do now. I still compete in a full calendar of tournaments, but I really look forward to those weekends when we don't have tournaments, and being able to get out on the water with the girls and my wife, and really, that family time. Honestly, not to be cliche, but if you would have asked me that question before they were born, it would have been pedal to the metal. I'm working to support a fishing habit. But no, it's about, spending time with the family, on and off the water, honestly, is my favorite thing I look forward to. And no, I do not coach my daughter in youth athletics. I refuse to do it.
All right, and final question for today. So obviously 2020 has been a bit of a difficult, very different year for sure, and almost feels taboo to ask this, but what are your hopes for the next year in Lake Worth Beach?
Well, I'll agree with you. 2020 has been a challenge in so many ways. I was going back the other night. I spoke at a neighbors association, and I went back over the year and clicked off all the things that are just incredibly crazy in and of themselves, but they happened one after another, and they it keeps happening. But the good thing is we already had our strategic plan, and a lot of the detailed grunt work over the past 8 years of fixing, repairing, and pulling together, resourcing, so that this community could take the next evolutionary steps in becoming sustainable, financially, environmentally, culturally, all the things that you look for a wonderful community to be able to be in a good position. Those things haven't gone away. I feel like we've just sort of been delayed. So next year, I see some amazing projects that are going to start happening. We're obviously all watching very closely what's going on with the Gulfstream Hotel, which has been 20 years in the making to get to this point. We have major infrastructure investments. There hasn't been a lot of fanfare, but these have been seismic changes in resourcing and working in the organization to fund infrastructure projects that have been needed for 30 or 40 years. And you're going to see those things start to happen over the next couple of years, starting next year, that are going to really put this city in really good standing. And not just doing it in sort of a ho-hum way, we're fixing this. I'll use the electric utility as an example. We're going to be, over the next couple of years, putting a lot of money into finally repairing circuits and really getting at some of the reliability issues that have plagued the city for a long time. But we're also pushing to make us the greenest utility in the state of Florida. For example, by 2023, we will have the lowest carbon footprint of any electric utility in the state of Florida. You don't have to put $50,000 of solar in your house. When you move into the city and you're a customer and an owner of the electric utility, you already are owning solar electricity. All those things become part of that connection that we as a city can do. And we're doing amazing things, and you'll start to see those stories come out better and better. We're obviously still working on ocean current energy as something that's a worldwide story, to be the first community to figure out how to derive consistent 24-hour-a-day energy from the Gulf Stream current just offshore here. Is something this little city, I think a lot of people wouldn't have expected a few years ago, but now realize that we have the capability and the competency to do these things, and that we have our cool, funky residential residents that really want to see us move into progressive areas more and more. And we have the ability to do that. So Yeah, next year is going to be a great year for us. We have a lot of things queued up, and it's only because of all the trials and tribulations we've been through, including this year, that we can actually get to that point to pull the trigger on those things. So very optimistic, very upbeat, very bullish on the city of Lake Worth Beach. It's the place to be.
Yeah, and just to dovetail into what Mike was saying, for 2021, our goal is really to continue to lead this organization and lead the organization to continue to get better so that we can provide a better level of service, to our residents. So from an operational standpoint, I think we've done a fantastic job throughout 2020 with all the curveballs that have been thrown at us as a world, not just, our 7 square miles, but, I look forward to, whatever challenges come ahead of us, we'll meet them head on as a team like we have been. And, we'll continue to push forward to get to that, point. And I don't know if there's ever an end point of where, Lake Worth Beach continues to position itself as a choice place for people to consider to raise a family, or maybe to live and buy one of the new or rent one of the new condos that are coming out of the ground at the Mid, or whether it's the Bohemian, and come and experience Lake Worth Beach, and to continue to become and push the organization to become an employer of choice. There's nothing cooler and self-fulfilling to surround yourself with the amazing, talented employees that we have. Ben, firsthand, I'm always joking about, that's why we surround ourselves with people smarter than we are, Mike and I, and to see you guys work the magic and get, it's really cool to watch the organization kind of get pushed into a corner like COVID has, and watch the organization flourish and rise up and deal with the challenge so that we could do the best we could from what we could control to, create a safe environment, and provide those services for our residents, So, 2021, I don't see a lot of those goals changing. If anything, like Mike said, maybe we'll catch a break with some of these seismic size issues like COVID showing up, and we can kind of get into a business as usual per se, and get after a lot of these huge projects that are paradigm shifts. Ocean Current Energy is a generational type of an impact project that can shape and really set Lake Worth Beach up for generations to come, and really put our stamp on the world. And, watching the electric utility finally get to where, the residents deserve as far as infrastructure wise and investment and the reliability, watching Ed and his crew continue to push that business to that level of professionalism that people expect and demand from us, and it's exciting. I think the future's bright. And again, my competitive nature, you've heard me say this before, Ben, nothing against the Del Reys and the West Palms and whatnot, but, we're not trying to be them. We're trying to be the best Lake Worth Beach that we can be. And the ceiling is still high, and, I look forward to it. We roll our sleeves up like we do every day. And as a coach would say, we're going to get after it and do it in a professional, sensitive, manner where, our residents wake up and they're proud to be a part of our community, and with so much stuff going on, in the country, I think we have the advantage of being in 7 square miles, of really focusing on, and this is something Mike and I were talking about just the other day, almost like, we put our arms around the 7 square miles and make sure we're getting what we need to get done. So, that's kind of, our attitude rolling into 2021. We've already started because, our fiscal year started October 1. So, 2021 is just a place on the calendar for us, but we're 2 months in already and pushing the organization toward those next things that Mike just laid out. So I look forward to it.
We're going to be that community that, 20, 30 years from now, people are going to be going, we need to go visit Lake Worth Beach because they got it right. And that's truly always kind of been our mindset of doing all these things and working for that, understanding that, while people might not completely recognize it while it's happening, you're doing all the right things and you're propelling the city in the direction the residents and the policy board is wanting us to go, and setting us up again to be sustainable and resilient. And the issues are they're always going to be something. We're dealing with right now, everybody's dealing with issues of water and flooding and concern about those issues. That's not unique to us. But I think how we approach it and how we're going to come up with some solutions is going to be in a leadership capacity. And again, it'll be judged 20 and 30 years down the road. These guys got it right, and we want to be like Lake Worth Beach. And to your point, Juan, we've been in this job here. It's like Delray Beach or Wynwood or wherever else is being talked out as examples of communities that have done things that we maybe want to copy. We want to be the best version of Lake Worth Beach. We want to be true to ourselves. We want to define the answers and the context that creates the opportunity on our terms as a local community. And I think we're doing that. It's not easy, but that's going to be the measure of our success.
For sure, yeah, and it's a collaborative team approach that stretches beyond our staff. It takes the whole community for all of us to buy in and and go along this journey into making Lake Worth Beach, the best little 7 square mile seaside town that it can truly be. And you hear about it, fulfilling the potential, and we're on our way. We're on our way in a big way. Being here for 13 years now, we've come a long way in a short amount of time. And that's really, as Mike would say, in conversations we have, Delray Beach, the overnight success that took 20 years to happen. So I think a lot of our competitive energy that we all share is, we want things to happen right now, and that's just not the way things work all the time. But, again, I want to take this opportunity, Ben, to thank you and our small communications team of constantly trying to evolve and find different platforms for us to engage and communicate with our residents, our employees. Kudos to you for taking the initiative and putting this government week, and interviewing all the staff, which I think is important as we evolve, and whether it's our website, the videos we're doing, the newsletters, the social media, stuff that we're building. I'm asking everyone who's watching this video, residents, whether you own a home, rent a home, own a business, work in the city, please get plugged in. Follow our social media pages. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Don't just plug into YouTube to watch a commission meeting, because there's a lot of wonderful things that are happening that are coming across the screen, or that, staff's working hard on putting together. That is part of your experience of Lake Worth Beach, so shameless plug, but
and this is where you put the slide up that says, here's how you get our newsletter and all our social media links. And please join the Lake Worth Beach experience.
Yeah. And please take a visit at our newly, revamped, I think volume 2 of our website that's going to get ready to launch here in the next week or two. Which we just came off a new website, and that's just an example of the staff that we have that are driving to always get better and to always find a way to provide and deliver an exceptional level of customer service to our residents and those that interface and look for us, for services or information or whatever it might be. So, again, appreciate you putting this together, Ben, and I'm not going to say we should do it more often, but it's definitely
every year at this time.
Well, thank you both for this interview. My team and I greatly look up to you both. And I always appreciate how accessible you both make yourselves. You talk about being the CEOs and everything. I can't imagine many CEOs are always available for us to come and pester with questions or get advice about anything from. your constant commitment to the residents and staff of the organisation is an inspiration and encourages all of us staff to thrive as public servants. Thank you, and I'm very excited for the next year in Lake Worth Beach, and I guess we'll do it again in a year's time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye.